Hey traders, Akil Stokes here. Welcome back to another episode of the Trading Coach Podcast, coming to you on a Thursday night. I actually just finished editing a few episodes and I'm currently going through some of the YouTube comments from a recent episode, the one that's titled, "There is no best in trading." And one of the comments was a really interesting one. It was actually a question, and well, I figured I'd discuss it here in a podcast episode with you. After all, for you guys that are new to the Trading Coach Podcast, this is what we do here. It's a little bit different than other trading podcasts out there where we're doing interviews. Sometimes I share with you guys the interviews you do with our Tier 1 trading members, kind of sharing their journey. But it's really a reflection on my experience, my life as a trader, and how I'm evolving over time. It's also a chance for me to take questions that I get on a daily basis, because I get a lot of them, whether they're from Tier 1 members, whether they're from people on the internet, Twitter, Instagram, wherever. It's a chance for me to address and answer those questions in a format that will give me a bigger reach. So, for example, Alan asked a question here on YouTube. Instead of simply replying to Alan, where, only a handful of you guys may actually go through the YouTube comment section and read comments or answers to comments that aren't your own. Now this can reach a lot of people. And I'm going to try and make this short. One, my voice is giving out. Two, my Philadelphia 76ers take on the Golden State Warriors in about 10 minutes, and I want to see it, right? For you guys that know me, 8 o'clock is like typically when I crash. It's 10 o'clock right now, so I'm already burning the midnight oil, whatever they call it, and trying to stay awake to see this game, and hopefully I make it. But the question is this, right? Akil, do you consider that knowledge and experience can have a compound effect, just like compounding money? What I'm asking is, if someone is more likely to become a better trader if they put 15 hours of work in their trading every day for 18 months, than someone who has been trading for 5 to 8 years, but only puts 2 to 3 hours of work in their trading day. And before I give you guys my opinion, I'm going to give you guys the opinion of a trader that I know very well, Chad, who, if you ever get a chance to read what he says, some of the most motivational and inspirational comments that I see on a regular basis, and he's been a great supporter of mine, and I love reading his stuff because I get fired up. But he says, I think that's a good question. I would say two things about it. First, just because a person puts a lot of time into something doesn't mean that they will be better. It's the quality of time and effort that brings progress, and that is different for everyone. Some grasp concepts faster than others. Second, I don't think it's good for anyone to gauge if they are better or worse by comparing themselves to anyone. Always measure your growth by reviewing your own trading. Are you making more or less mistakes according to your rules? That's how we get better. It has zero to do with anyone else, and that is all true. But for conversation purposes, for entertainment purposes, I'm going to entertain this question. I do think it's a good question. I do think Chad is 100% on the ball. In reality, we don't want to make a comparison between us and others. Everyone learns at a different rate, right? We just got back from, I had a deliberate success program today where we teach people how to deliberately become successful, meaning you don't get successful by being lucky. You deliberately put yourself in a position, you deliberately rewire your neural pathways in your brain to be successful. And studying successful people over the years, right, there is a set formula to becoming successful, and it is exactly the same from person to person. Obviously, it may vary here or there, but the path, the mindset, the drive, the principles, the characteristics are exactly the same. And for someone that wants to become successful, if you do said things, you will become successful. It's really black or white in a way. But I would say this first, right? And there are two parts of learning how to trade, right? Think of it as like an A section and a B section, right? Think of it like a professional athlete learning how to play a game and then learning how to be a professional, right? The A section is simply learning how to trade, right? learning the skills, really switching the mindset from it. It's not a get rich quick scheme. It's not going to be a simple moving average strategy that works. That this is going to take work. I'm going to have to really develop a skill of trading. I'm going to have to know how to trade, not just what to trade. And that takes a massive amount of time, again, to not only learn the skill, but really, retrain the mindset to thinking properly, thinking realistically. After that, a lot of your kind of second level success in trading comes from experience, right? I've talked about this in previous podcasts where you develop intuition, you develop a feel for the market, you kind of get in the zone. And again, that's different from a professional athlete being good to a professional athlete being kind of in control, right? For you guys that are basketball fans right now, you can watch a basketball player named James Harden, unstoppable. I don't know what the streak is up to now, but basically he's been scoring out of his mind for the last month, and he's in a zone. He can't be stopped, right? He wasn't he was a good prospect coming out of college, but no one thought he'd be in conversations for being a multi-time MVP in the league. And it was an adjustment for him to get used to kind of just being the man in high school, being the man in college, to kind of being a role player in the NBA, to now being a superstar and one of the best players in the league. And obviously in order to get to that second level of success, you have to do the first level. So you can't get to B, you can't gauge that feel, that intuition without doing A first. And that's going to come in handy because in my answer, I lean towards, and I did the math and everything. I did the hours that it takes to be successful and try to figure out what was what. But I'm going to lean towards the trader that puts in 15 hours of work every day for 18 months, being successful. I guess I don't even know if the question was faster, but I would rather be that trader for a few reasons. And I do believe that success is all based on time, meaning that if you take the right actions and if you take the right actions for the right reasons, you will become successful, right? If everyone does the right thing, right? If you have success and there's a written plan that says here's what it takes to become successful, you have to do X, Y, and Z, right? The person who invests more time in doing X, Y, and Z will become successful faster than the person that invests less time in X, Y, and Z. I think it's simple math. And again, not going to the fact that we all learn different. Some people aren't capable of learning as fast as other people. Just keep it basic because we're human. There's all going to be types of discussions that we can get from here. But the person that puts in more work, right, gets the person that works more hours gets the bigger paycheck. Let's just put it like that. So I'm always a firm believer of that versus the person that puts in less work for a longer period of time. Now, here is why. Now, when I did the math, right, if we take 15 hours a day, because that's what the trader was saying, if you focus 15 hours a day on trading, I've got my calculator in the background. What was it? Someone likely to become a better trader. They put in 15 hours of work every day for 18 months, right? So 18 months is what? 30 times 18, right? 30 days in a month on average. 30 times 18, that's 540 days. We take that by 15 hours a day. We're looking at 8,100 minutes. Let's call it 8,000 minutes. So 8,000 minutes for trader A. Now, the second trader was 5 to 8 years, right? Putting 2 to 3 hours a day. So we take 5 to 8 years, right? 365 days in a year, right? We times that by 5, boom. And then we times that by what? 3 hours a day? That's going to be 547 hours. Let's call it 5,475 hours. Excuse me. So let's call it 5,500 hours. So the trader that's doing 15 hours a day for 18 months is going to really have more work hours than the trader that has done it only 2 to 3 hours for 5 years. Now, what's more importantly, and again, I always kind of go back to numbers. I'm a numbers guy, so I relate to that. What is more? Who's put in more hours? But more importantly is time, right? Time is the most important thing, right? And the key component that stood out to me was, okay, well, 5 years versus 18 months, right? For the trader that has invested 15 hours over 18 months, they're more likely to get to that success level A more quicker. Quicker? There we go. I'm not a math. I like numbers, not words, right? They're more likely to get to that success level A more quickly than the second trader. And what that means is once they get to success level A, now they can spend the next whatever amount of time working on that success level B. And what I found in my personal experience, just me trading and working with traders as well, and even talking to traders at very reputable, trading firms and whatnot like that, is it's typically about 1.5 to 2 years where a trader starts finding their groove, right? You get successful and then you kind of go through the whole psychological battles of demo money to live money, making mistakes, you kind of clean it up. And by the time you get about 18 months to about 2 years, you kind of start feeling yourself, you're comfortable in your skin, you know your go-to strategy, you're in your routine, and you can really start taking your trading to the next level. So the way I see it is this: by the time that trader has reached the 18-month mark, right, they should be consistently profitable. They should be kind of right on the cusp of being in the zone and really starting to gain experience. So working on their success level B at about 18 months in. Meanwhile, the trader that has done it for 5 years at only 2 to 3 hours a day, well, maybe they still haven't hit that hourly mark, or maybe they just hit that mark where they're starting to become consistently profitable because they've spent less time working on their craft, and they're now hitting that success level B or getting started on success level B at year 5. And the question that I go back and ask myself is, well, what is less time? Because it's all about time, right? Would I rather invest? Would I rather be the trader that invested a lot of time in 18 months? And started getting good at 18 months, or the trader that started getting good at 5 years? And I think the answer is simple, right? 18 months, right? Because now I can spend the next 3.5 years, right, reaping the benefits, reaping the fruits of my labor. So by the time I reach that 5-year mark like Trader B, I've already become massive successful. I've already started compounding my money in the market because I've been consistently profitable through the years. Maybe I've even opened up a business, right, as well. I'm years ahead of that trader. So that's what ends up making it kind of a no-brainer for me. It's more of a time basis. And I understand experience, and you would think the trader that's been doing it for 5 to 8 years has more experience, but they don't actually have more experience because most of that time during that 5 to 8 years wasn't actually spent working on the craft of trading. It was focused on doing something else. And it's probably unlikely that they found any type of success only investing 2 to 3 hours a day for that long. And I shouldn't say that because, again, everyone's different. But if you want to be massively successful in trading, it's well, yeah. I don't want to put anyone down. I'm trying to tightrope this walk because I know some of you guys are out there putting 2 to 3 hours a day. But again, let's just go back to this, right? The more hours you put in, if you can put more hours in, the quicker you'll become successful. And from my personal experience, I was that trader that put 15 hours in a day. And, even with doing a lot of dumb stuff, I got successful pretty quickly. And I know if I only would have invested 2 to 3 hours a day, that learning curve would have been a lot longer for me. So I'm going with answer A. The trader that puts in 15 hours a day for 18 months is going to be more successful more quickly than the trader that puts in 2 to 3 hours a day for 5 to 8 years, simply because they'll get over that initial threshold of success, be able to be consistently profitable in the markets, and start working on that level B success as well.